All right, Lagos. It is 16 minutes going to 5, and you tuned into Smooth 98.1. Today on Business Hub, we'll be taking a look, or rather, we'll be talking about networking and discussing the next steps, especially after you've had introductions made. Okay, so you go to an event or you're looking at you're attending a mixer, and whilst it is, yes, you've exchanged cards. You're just looking, okay, I've made the first move. You're just looking at yourself like, okay, so what's the next thing I'm supposed to do? Well, that can be a bit of a step to take, especially if you don't have any ideas for freshers, for graduates who are just off of the who are just fresh off the market and trying to see how they can double their fingers, their hands, everything, get the right job going. Okay, my name is Joy, and I graduated with so and so, and I'm looking to starting a business of my own. All that is interesting, but after that, what's the next thing? Well, breaking all that barriers for us and explaining or giving more insight is my guest who's joining me virtually. Her name is Aramide Abe. She is the founder of Naija Startups. Good evening, Aramide, and good to have you here on Business Hub.
Good evening, Joy. It's a pleasure to be back. Nice to connect.
All right, Lagos. If you do not have a device that is, going to be helping you take notes, well, I suggest that you do a recording, or what you can actually do is join us on YouTube as well. Where you can go is youtube.com/smooth smooth 981 FM Lagos. Yes, I don't know why I was mix it up. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. You can actually share your thoughts in the chat box, or on WhatsApp, the number is 0911 999 0981. So that is 0911 999 0981. All right. Now let's get into the conversation because I've been itching. I've been to mixers before, Aramide, and it can be a bit daunting when you've had that conversation. You'd be like, okay, so you've had the speaker talk about what they do. You've had everything, and you're wondering, okay, so we made the first introductions. Okay, that's good. So what's the next step? What am I supposed to do? And this is more for freshers, fresh graduates looking for work. How do they break that mold? What do they do?
Yeah, so people always ask, do freshers or do graduates or students need to network? And I think my
Mm,
response to that is absolutely. Network is so critical. It's crucial.
mm,
And even for fresh graduates, because it opens doors to hidden job markets,
I agree.
internships, mentorships, just from conversations, even
Mm,
referrals, opportunities that may not be otherwise publicly advertised.
right.
And relationships often lead to recommendations that stand out beyond a resume. So I'll definitely advocate for graduates, undergrads, students to network. I mean, I'm mentoring a 17-year-old now. He's not in university yet, and even him, I'm sharing the benefits of networking just so he can understand why it's so valuable. I think
Right.
I must have referred him for. I reached out to a friend who runs a finance company to see if we could get some kind of traineeship program that wasn't
Okay.
advertised, and that was because he has that relationship with me. So imagine if a graduate is able to build relationships with people and
Right.
yeah, find out about opportunities that they can't find online or anywhere
Mhm.
like that. So it's very important.
Mm, I like that. I like the fact that you're even trying to break that mold as opposed to waiting for him to, okay, mommy, I'm done. Daddy, I'm done. What do I do? That confusion. For me, it wasn't that easy. I had to find
Mm,
my feet. I had to do this whole thing myself. And even as a grown woman, it can be a bit tasking. It just
yeah.
feels like this. I'm just dropped into water and I'm taught to
Mm,
swim without any floater or anything. If that
mm,
is for those who don't even have an idea of how to swim, that could be a problem. But
mm.
now let's talk about entrepreneurs mm, who are facing similar situations. I'm talking about entrepreneurs in client, public relations. How important is this for them to network? How should they even broach it? What do they do?
Yeah, PR is all about people anyway. So there's no
True.
PR person that isn't a network. I'll be surprised if I found or met a PR person who didn't understand the value of
Yeah.
client-facing relationships. They connect people, they're resourceful, so they have to be
Mhm.
natural networkers. But for people in PR, it's not just about meeting people, it goes beyond that.
Oh,
You're
okay.
building visibility, you're building trust and client pipelines, and your reputation often precedes you. So strong
True.
networks keep your
True.
business top of mind. And some of the things that help PR person to stand out, of course, is reputation. If I heard that this person has done something or a fantastic job before, or they were able to
Mhm.
manage a crisis, which happens sometimes with a client effectively, they'll definitely be
Yeah.
referred. And if we think about PR people that we know, the first people we think about are maybe our friends who are in PR, because again, it's all about relationship. Then you might
I
think about
agree.
people who have a good reputation. Before
Hmm.
you even start Googling and looking at the top 50 or top 20, it's mostly by who you know and then also reputation. But then there's an element which I mentioned, trust, right? And trust comes through that authenticity, that being able to deliver and do what you say, being able to convince the client when you engage with them. So all those
Mm.
things are important, but reputation is critical. And again, it's a function of relationships, relational, dynamics, what people say about you when you're not in the room and that sort of
Mm.
thing.
I like that. I like that fact that you said is what people say about you, especially when you're not there. And that
Hmm.
brings me to this one. It seems like every time I hear this, it seems true and true. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like in Nigeria, if you need to climb the corporate ladder, if you need to get anywhere, it has to be within, it has to be that you have a good network of people
Hmm.
who can speak to your person or whatever it is, no matter even if you're qualified. Okay. Like I said, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but sometimes it seems like even the qualification do not match. But okay, we're
Mm.
going to push you because so and so, even
Yes.
though you're not qualified for that position, they just seem to say, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. I love the point you made. Most I'll say growth economies, most economies and markets that are not necessarily the most developed. I'll say
Mhm.
because of the way we're with the stage we're in, we're
Right.
typically relying more on information based on relationships. And so you
Okay.
find that a country like Nigeria has a relationship-driven corporate culture. Competence matters absolutely, especially in certain industries or certain types of technical jobs and work. But personal
Mm.
connections and referrals often accelerate access to opportunities, whether it's at the political level, in finance, everywhere. It's relationships. I have a friend who's worked in finance for 20 years. He's never had to apply for a job. It's always been through
Ooh.
referrals. I am telling you, I'm sure I'll bring him on the show next
Oh
time.
my
It's
days.
always, I mean, I just look at him that you have some kind of grace because, but
I
it's the
know.
reality. There are people who it's based on relationships. They sell what they're able to offer. They identify the
Right.
opportunity there and then. They communicate. They understand what the need is. They're able to deliver
Right.
to, or fulfill that need, and bam, they have a deal and an agreement. So, yes, we can't downplay the value and the importance of relationship, especially in economies and markets like ours, where and then of course, even in certain industries where everything isn't as sophisticated just yet, you can't just go online and find a directory or a pool. You have to rely on information based on referrals and relationships. Networking is key. So it's critical just as it is for business, as it is for the corporate world as well.
I'm envious of your friend. He needs to teach me. You know what? I need to learn a thing or two from how he does it because how do you stay? Uh, it's just amazing how you never have to ask for a job. The jobs are always there. It, you know what? We'll talk about that
We'll
a
talk
bit.
about
We'll talk about all that later, later.
that.
But it kind of reminds me of there was sorry, I'm digressing a bit. It
No
reminds
worries.
me of um a sitcom, How I Met Your Mother, and
Mm,
So in one of the episodes, I remember when someone said, "Oh, okay, there was a lady he was dating." I'm not sure if it was I'm not sure if it was Marshall right now. I'm not sure who it was, but he said there was a girl he kept waiting for. She was never ever single. Immediately, she's like literally just any one relationship. Someone else is just waiting in the background. She was so good that even when she was done with one person, someone else is in the wing just waiting. Oh, is
Oh,
there an opening? so for someone to be that valuable, oh my days, it
but I
is
love
just
that
amazing.
analogy. You know, it's also a function. No, I love the analogy. It's also a function of timing as well. You know, for him,
Okay,
perhaps every time he wasn't necessarily even looking for work when he got the next one, it was just a conversation, for example. Or
right.
sometimes from a conversation, they can actually create a role for you. Haven't you heard where they've created roles for people in
Ooh,
institutions where, okay, maybe
okay.
they've been discussing an issue, a need, and then they create
Mhm.
a job. They create a job, a whole job description for that
To
person. It's happened and it
choose.
comes out of conversations. So we can't
Mm.
downplay it for sure.
Okay. That is an impressive. I like people who can, just see your value and decide,
Mm,
okay, I need you on board. So I'm gonna just create something that will soothe you. So that
right.
is impressive stuff indeed. It just takes you knowing what works for you. But here's the thing, right? And obviously, like I said, you attend mixers, you have your cards. That is for those who usually have your cards. How important really are business cards? And I'm asking because sometimes you have the physical card. Once they tell you, oh, you can share your cards, mix and know people. How really important are business cards, either physically or digital type? How important is it?
I have to say it depends. It really
Okay.
does depend. And I'll tell you why. And I'm glad you raised this point because I was at a conference just about a month and a half or 2 months ago,
Okay.
and a gentleman gave me his card, but it was his last card. So I said, okay, let me save the information and then give you back the card so that then you have a card to give to someone, right? For me, I don't necessarily value carrying a pile of cards at home. If I can take a photo of it, I don't want to. Also, I'm trying to be green and whatnot, right? So it depends, right? So while some people are quite conventional, maybe traditional, and they're used to that way of okay having a card, other people are more about very savvy, tech savvy. They don't need a business card. Sometimes someone could have taken it as an insult. It depends on the country as well, right? So if I want to give
Okay.
you back the card you gave me, maybe in certain Asian cultures, that might be deemed as insulting
Oh.
because they've given you show the gratitude and whatnot, even though you may not use it, but just so you also have to look at each gauge and look at where you are. If you're going to an industry where or a conference or a gathering where that maybe it's people who maybe are the boomers, that generation, they're used to cards. And
Yes.
I'm not even making fun of them, but they're probably
No, no,
used
no,
to
no,
taking
no.
it,
Yeah,
even
I
though
get that.
a lot of them are tech savvy now. But it
Hmm.
might make sense to have your card with you. Another person actually
Right.
informed me that, do you know why I collect business cards? Is because it connects me with something. So when I've seen the card, I've seen the branding, I can connect that person, and it triggers something in my memory, which is why I say
Right,
it
right.
depends. Because nowadays you even have the QR code, the very sexy, you can just scan and it downloads the whole thing in your phone. That happened as well with another person I met at an event. So it really does vary. It depends. So I'll say maybe if you want to do a bit of both, which is
Hmm.
a hybrid, or
Hmm.
just gauge where you're going. But there's nothing wrong with having a card. It's always helpful. You just never know where the person might see the card, pick it up, and then reach out to you for something in the future.
I agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
Lagos, as always, you can share your thoughts, your observations. If you've been in a space like this, how has it been for you, especially after meet and greet, and then you're probably sharing your cards, and the person says, "Okay, not to worry. I could just take a picture." Do you feel offended or anything of the sort? Well, share your thoughts with us here on WhatsApp 0911 999 0981. I will take your thoughts as they come through. We have a quick breather, so let's take that. And when we get back in, I have a very interesting question for you. I'd like you to.
Okay.
I'll share it with you. So when we get back in, You will definitely respond to that.
Okay.
And I know I used to be that person. Maybe on radio, I have this larger than life personality, but sometimes I could be very shy in person. And it could be crazy. How do I break that? Especially for someone who's just trying to get into the job market. We'll
Mm.
definitely get a response to that when we get back from this quick breather. Lagos, like I said, you need to stay here. There's so much insight to learn here on Business Hub today. Don't move a muscle. Love life. Smooth. 98.1. Ah, yes. I used to be that shy person. I'll
Me
be there.
too, by the
I'll be,
way.
oh my goodness. Okay.
Me too. No, absolutely. I know what you mean. I know what, and people always ask this question, so it's a perfect question, honestly. I used to be that person. I used to be that person.
It's not just me who's been in this space. Oh my word. Thank the Lord. I thank God. Yeah, I'm happy that you're enjoying this.
No, I
Okay.
am.
Oh my word. But yeah, important question to actually tackle when we get back in. Okay.
And
All
you
right.
apply some of these tips when you go when you go now to events. You must apply them.
Okay. I will. Trust me.
Okay.
I will.
Keep moving forward where you are. Never move to a lane on your right to overtake. This is Lagos.
All right, let's get back in. All right, Lagos, 33 minutes gone past five. You tune into Business Hub here on Smooth 98.1. And today we are talking about networking and discussing the next steps after the initial introductions have been made. And my guest who is sharing insights, great insights, is Aramide Abe. She is the founder of Naija Startups, and she's been dropping nuggets. And I'm not even joking. If you've been sleeping, you need to wake up. Where have you been? Oh, yes, I know. I have been this person once upon a time. I shared this, and it has to do with, as a shy person approaching networking, especially in a room full of executives, it feels like the earth should just swallow you right now. And palpitations and all that. Sometimes, even with your full confidence, you're bouncing in. It just seems like you get there and you freeze.
Mhm.
How does a person break away from all that?
And I have to say as well, I also was quite shy growing up. In
Oh,
fact, I think it was even more timid, which
okay.
lacked that confidence. So there's a whole place for dealing with that because that has to be dealt with, such that your confidence and your ability. That's different from being an introvert, right? An introvert could be confident, they're just not outgoing. So those are two separate things. But when you're shy, and you go into a room full of executives, you can start small. So approach one
Okay.
person at a time. You don't have to feel like
Mm.
you have to work the whole room. Ask open-ended questions, and of course, people who are more reserved are listeners. So listen actively, and that's an actual strength because you can use that in your to your advantage. Perhaps where there's an opportunity that someone who's just blabbing might miss, right? You can key into that by listening, and then focus on genuine curiosity rather than trying to impress. And then I find that
Okay. I like the fact that you made that. Yes, please go
it's
ahead.
true, that authenticity. And then I think preparation also helps. So even when you don't feel confident,
Oh,
if you
okay.
prepared, you kind of looked up the people you're going to meet, you have interesting questions or things to speak to based on their interests or things going on in the news, for example, then you have a few talking points
Okay.
and that will ease any anxiety. So there are ways to do this thing. Trust me, everybody, if you're a shy person listening, you're not alone. There are hacks. It's all about preparedness. It's about knowing that
Right.
you are enough when you enter a room, but also prepare and listen and be yourself.
Mm. All right. Ian says, I think confidence also develops with age. I agree with you. With age, you just summon up all that courage and you just waltz in with your high heels on as a lady and you become the center of attention. And from there you just keep talking. Trust me.
I agree with that person. And I think also definitely age has helped because then I'm more self-aware. So the things that I would sort of be timid about in the past, definitely not right now. And then if I'm not
Right.
confident about anything, I know I can literally just prepare and just go for it or talk yourself up. You know what I mean? Just talk yourself up into the
Yeah.
situation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next question. So this next question could apply to matchmaking. And here's why. Because once contacts have been established, how long do you advise one to actually wait before following up?
Yeah. And I think, it also speaks to the kind of person you are, right? So if
Okay.
you are, and if, for example, if you're meeting someone had referred you to someone who could be a potential mentor that could help you in your
Hmm.
career, and you met with them, and then you went to follow up in 3 weeks' time, then it doesn't sound like you're serious. You don't even, you're not sending the right
Okay.
signal. Right. So what you want to also do is ideally, in fact, best practice says 24 to 48 hours after. That's soon enough, right? Just keep that
Okay.
interaction fresh. You can even
Open.
reference something that was mentioned. So it's not, I mean, you're not being too keen, like messaging them the hour after, because some people do that. Hour after,
Okay.
then 3 hours after, kilo day, just chill. So in 24 to 48 hours after, it
Okay.
doesn't feel intrusive. A brief, polite message works well. You can
Okay.
reference what we've spoken about before. Just keep it brief. If it's even your peer, for example, you met someone at an event, you can also reach out. Hope to catch up at lunch sometime. Let me know when you're available, that sort of thing. So ideally, 24 to
Mm.
48 hours. Yeah.
Not that not okay, so yes, we know that we're supposed to follow up with sense. 24 to 48 hours. Don't be stalking the person. It might just be weird. But how do we even follow up, especially in this time and age where some people don't even respond to calls, they don't respond to WhatsApp messages. So
Yeah.
is it a text message? Is it an email, WhatsApp, phone call? How do we even approach this?
And that's the thing, there's no one size fits all. So I'll tell you what I do. When I meet the
Okay.
person, I'll say, okay, it will be good to keep in touch. What's the best way to reach you? Then they tell me. If they're going to give me their
Okay.
email, I know they want to keep it an email kind of relationship. I stick to that. If they say, oh, you
Okay.
can WhatsApp me, here's my phone number, text, or say, if you just text me, or someone can say, send me a text over the weekend, I'm traveling. That's why it's good to also listen, right? And also just gauge and get a sense. But there's nothing wrong with asking and saying, okay, so because sometimes WhatsApp may be too personal depending on the dynamic or what it is that you are meeting them for. So
Right.
again, and then phone calls may even be overly intrusive. Someone is having lunch with their family. You have this person you just met last week calling you three, four, 5 times. You know what I mean? So I think it's
Mm.
worth asking. And then, and if they're open and they let you know, or they say, oh, you can reach me, contact me, send me a message, don't worry, then fine. And then you may even reach out to someone as they ask and then they don't respond and you do it a second time. I don't think you should feel deflated about that. It's more around, okay, maybe things are going on. Everyone is busy, right? So something may be going on in their life. But if you've done it about 2 or 3 times, you may want to, okay, just ease up on it. Maybe when they come around, they'll reach out to you. But don't feel deflated or anything like that. It could be anything. I remember trying to reach out to someone and I didn't realize we're going through an entire life crisis. So if I had written them off, or I thought, oh, the person doesn't want to contact me, I wasn't,
Mm.
thinking broadly. So it just extend some empathy. But if they're not interested as well, no water off your back, right? You just, keep it moving.
Mm. That one can be a bit painful. You've been anticipating the response, waiting in the background, and you're like, ah, that's how they've ghosted me. And it kind of, anxiety starts to build again. I'm not going
Mm-hmm.
for any mixer. I'm not extreme.
Yeah, it can be.
It can
Personally.
actually be
But
deflating. So
but that's why it's also good to, you have to deal with that sort of place, that area of lack of confidence, such that
okay.
if anyone even just blanks you, you just, it's fine. There are other people to meet. You know what I mean? So
Right.
unless it's a do or die affair that that person has your destiny in their hands and you have to, you know what I mean? But other than
Yeah.
that, trust me, like there's other people to meet, and there could be genuinely things going on in their lives that doesn't don't allow them to reach out or be as responsive as you would have hoped. So yeah, just extend that grace and yeah, you just move on in the interim.
Mm. And that makes me want to figure out, or like, it is leading to my next question, and has to do with, okay, so with attendant mixers, I've tried building up contacts. It seems like it's not working the way I want it. Do I need to keep attending events after events to keep building the right contact? Or what do I do? Is it to research the individuals, research the organizations, or how do I make sure that my network, because it is said that your network is your net worth. So
Mm-hmm.
how do I build the right net worth around me so that I'm not just dropping names, but I am saying I know Aramide, and I actually know Aramide. I know her, as I say, daily, daily. So
Like
it
they
has
say.
to, actually makes sense that I know this person, and
Mm,
it's not just me dropping names or
yeah.
name calling, but I know this person, and it is worth everything.
Yeah, so and I always say this, and I'm so glad you asked this question because I actually write an article on LinkedIn on networking, and in the
Mm, okay.
in the beginning of it's called Beyond the Handshake, a networking article, and in the beginning of it, I used to always say you to start with why. So why are you going for these events? You need to ask yourself why. What is your objective? There's
Oh,
nothing wrong with
okay.
going for them, but is it okay?
Mm,
I'm trying to get a new job. I'm trying to transition careers or something like that. If that's the case, if you're not getting the most out of the approach you're using, then you go back to the drawing board and re-strategize. Could it be that you're going to the wrong types of events? Could it be that you're not
mm,
spending enough time engaging with the right people when you meet them? Or are you not following through with conversations? Or are you assuming that you're going to get a job just from a discussion, right? So it's also about looking at your expectations, your goals,
right.
and reviewing that. It's always good to have that reflection with everything you do. When something isn't working, take a step back and say, okay, so why isn't this working? What do I need to change? You could also ask
Mm,
someone, right? So ask a peer, ask someone who's really good at it, or someone who's
okay.
advanced, who's gone through the similar process. What can I do differently, right? So it really depends. And then there's things you can definitely tweak when it comes to the network. So yes, you have to be intentional, choose the right type of events you want to be at, the ones that offer meaning and value and are strategic, not just attending everything and then getting burnt out. And then also being consistent, right, and authentic. You might find that maybe because you're being too salesy or coming on too strong, you're rubbing people of the wrong way. They can pick up on those things actually. You might think they don't.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, so it's better to be consistent and also authentic, right? So if you are indeed looking for a job, you've asked questions, there's nothing wrong with saying, I'm in the middle of a career transition, right? Don't try and do that stylish backward, like just be honest, like just communicate it, listen, but
Okay.
communicate. And then if there's an opportunity that it will present itself, if there isn't, another one will come. So it's really about reviewing your strategy and then
Mm,
making the necessary tweaks so that you can then benefit the most. But definitely don't just ghost networking if something isn't working. Just think about how you can do it differently. You could maybe do more online as well. There's online networks, not just parties and events and conferences
okay.
and summits. You could have online social networking in terms of LinkedIn, communities, and whatnot. So there are different strategies and approaches to achieving the necessary goal that you're trying to achieve. But definitely,
Mm,
I would definitely say maybe the most valuable is people because then they have certain information or they've done
right.
something that maybe you have not done and they can tell you what worked for them. So always ask and reach out to people who can then give you tips and advice.
A habit. Mm,
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. I could, well, I could keep you and we could keep just, having our conversations, enjoying our time. But all good
Yeah.
things must come to an end. All good things must come to an end. So how
Hopefully
can
I'll be back.
Lagos? Oh no, oh more of I wanted to touch on something, but you know what? I will save it for the next time you're here. And it has to do with my friend would say it's LinkedIn.
Okay, LinkedIn. Yes, yes. So much to talk about on that. Yes.
Okay, let me quickly take something from Gilbert Musa. Gilbert Musa's is on Press Start, by the way, and says networking should be in alignment with your career for genuine outlook as a first step. Okay,
Mm,
Th- that
yes,
that that is also a thing.
very
But
true.
how can Lagos and the world reach out to you? They need insights. Some people are usually shy and they need
Yeah.
what I wouldn't say hand holding per se, but at least they need that um, proper guide as to how they can go about figuring out their life, getting the right step in the career path that they're searching
Mhm.
for. So, how can they
Mm.
reach out to you on your social media handles to help them through whatever path, whatever networking situation they
Mhm.
find themselves in?
Yes, so for starters, I'm putting a lot of content together around different things on
Okay.
networking through the article Beyond the Handshake by Aramide Abe on LinkedIn. So that's the
Okay.
first go-to.
All right.
Second, I'm available on Instagram, Aramide Abe. Join Together is my Instagram handle. You can just add me and then I'll accept. And then Arams on Twitter. I'm
Okay.
more active on LinkedIn and Instagram, but also on Twitter as well. So please feel free to reach out with your questions. And yes, it also even gives me insights into more things I need to write about. So we'll be very happy to welcome questions and comments. And feel free to reach out to
Mm,
me. My website, I have a personal website, aramide.ng. You can also go there as well.
all
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you so much. And I know that I most definitely will be reaching out to figure
Please
out other
do.
things. We'll be, exploring.
Yes.
But as always, Lagos, you now know where to reach out, Aramide. Look out for Aramide and ask whatever questions, and she'll push you through.